sire children to name after him. Yet I'd lived with infertility all my life. I lived with endometriosis, and I'd been through almost like 4 surgeries trying to, ovarian cyst, ectopic pregnancy, more endometriosis surgeries, and so I had also that other personal burden. So at that time I wanted a space, and I wanted to identify with women who had also similar stories. Then in 2012 is when the Rona Center was launched through my mother, my late mother, who now, when women had me on radio, and radio picked me because of social media, how I was communicating widow stories, because I was communicating from an angle of rights and dignity, and questioning where were policies, where were interventions, where were government programming, where were other movements that I could align to, that I could learn from. So I think that became an appeal to media, especially gender reporters. And that is how I got to start be invited on the radio. And I said, I don't want to tell a warrior story. And then women in my village here heard me, and they would converge at my mother, who was already a philanthropist. She was already feeding orphans, caring for orphans, supporting other women. And so I just added a burden of care to her. And so later on she would say that these children are not my responsibility. They came with the widows because you went on radio. So take charge of your responsibility. So because the numbers grew so much at my mother's home, she sort of became the champion for me to secure this land with my brother, so that we could find a space, because my family were also complaining. The numbers were so huge. There were no meal times that were just for family. There were no personal time with them, and my mother was also elderly. And so my family started to feel that the crowd there was becoming too big. So that's how my mother led for, championing for me to buy this land. And of course, as a widow woman, it was almost impossible to buy it. The widow who sold it said, I want you to take care of me and take care of because I lost all my children, Mama Susanna. But I also want you to bury me when I die. But you can't buy land alone, because everybody's telling me there's something wrong with you. So you have to come with your brother to be part of the purchase of the land. So even at that point, I couldn't even buy land alone with my money. So that later became another conflict. So now when I wanted full ownership, that became a serious big conflict for 7 years. So my brother was not also willing to let go. So then I have gone full circle of widowhood, full circle. From stigma, disinheritance, stigmatization, land rights, just being set apart by the burden of being widowed and being childless, and also being divorced. I have gone full circle. I can smell stigma 10 feet away. I know how it looks like, I know how it sounds like. Because when you've lived in something for so long, you can actually sniff it out. Okay. People can give you a look, but they can't hide their vibration around you. So I'm always able to detect the vibration someone is giving. Are they accepting, or is there something deep that is still inhibiting full acceptance? So those are the lessons I learned. So starting this facility largely became an eye-opener. It became like a research space for me, where I understood widowhood, and where I also found women like me, women living with infertility, women who had lost all their children. They had had their children, but now their children were dead. So they were more or less like childless women also. Women living with HIV, women living in abject poverty. When we came here 10 years ago, houses, there were grass-thatched houses in this village, dilapidated, falling apart. Women who, now that I was also considering myself vulnerable, I was the most privileged. I had education, I had a skill, I had a business, and maybe I still had my supportive mother, who was also widowed. Some of the women here had literally nothing, no education, no support system, no intervention, no language to maneuver through life, and with a fallen house. So the first 7 years of our work here was just about building dignity widow houses. And I think so far we've built like around 68. Tuliondoa nyasi hapa kitambo sana. In fact, it's from us that Utienda Molo learned from. I told him, there's nothing, if you do nothing, just build widow houses. It goes a long, long way. because to us a house is a roof. You are under roof, you are safe. The walls, you can put anything, you can put leaves, you can put mud, you can put, but a roof is key because it protects you from rain, it protects you from weather elements. So that is the first thing we did for 7 years, besides fighting for rights to fully own this piece of land. So that's been my journey, and also the widows helping me to heal. I am a product of a group of vulnerable women, widows themselves, who taught me how to be okay with being not okay. You know, who taught me that vulnerability is a tool, and at the same time, it is a threat. Widows who taught me that when you stand in the light of your truth, in your shame, in your stigma, in your widowhood, there's still a space for you amongst them to voice your concerns. So I'm really a serious champion of voice to action, so that once you find your voice, then you can take action. If you don't have, and you have a small support system around you. So really, largely, the people who made me are a group of orphans that mostly I inherited from my mother, who taught me what motherhood was about. I speak often, Mora, of uh, laboring differently. I will not bury any umbilical cord. I will not go into labor pains. But I labor daily. I labor to provide fees, food, support, emotional support, just like mothers do to their children. And then I am surrounded with this group of women who constantly are laughing, sometimes with bare minimal, and also are telling me, oh, talk to so-and-so, on this case, talk to the chief. They're constantly guiding me. In fact, I'm really held. I'm just held by groups of women, and I'm sure you've met some of them. Women who show me we can do theater. We may not have the money, but we have the space in our homestead. We can converge and do theater. And if you talk to the market, then we can go to the market and practice the theater, and they will see what harmful widowhood practices is about. We can go on radio. So we do basic advocacy on our rights. Very minimal. We do small little things, but we believe those small little things count. So this is how we came here. We have now a school. We are building a health center now. We have a climate change program here that has planted more than 20,000 trees in the widow homes and in our facility here. We are now launching climate change programs in market centers and mine areas, and replanting forests. We have a widows policy in the County Assembly of Siaya, a charter that has been adopted to Siaya Widows Protection Policy that we are leading in its drafting and implementation. We have a network of more than 10,000 widows in Siaya County, clustered in over 90 groups. We have joined with other widow organizations at the international level and passed UN Widowhood Resolution in 2022. We reframed, we framed the national grant Thamini loan with the gender department. We also framed the grant by Unclaimed Assets Authority called Wezesha Mjane. So we've done certain national and local policy interventions. We have influenced Siaya County on CIDP to put widow aware and widow friendly budgets. So we are going into governance and inclusion, governance and leadership, and particularly mainstreaming widows for inclusion. We have 3 out of 4 elected MCAs, widow legislators, elected in Siaya County. And Siaya broke the jinx of widows can't be elected. And we led for their campaigns, we led for their empowerment. Eunice Ndolo, Scholastica Mado, and Mama Tabu Sewe, though she was already running for us as a candidate. So 2 of our widows from our groups literally joined that they became elected as widow